5 years of Genesis, from XR to Metaverse. What comes next?
I could see the future of this 3D immersive experience and working on technology to help scale to hundreds of millions of people in a single persistent world and to allow anyone to build any type of application and deploy it to the web. So super excited to be here, and thanks so much for inviting us, Jay.
The virtual reality experience that you share is a better experience than something that you do by yourself. So what I've seen and I knew was going to happen was around 2020, these virtual games, these immersive worlds, metaverse kind of stuff, what it really needed was to have lots of people in the space at the same time.
No matter where you're at on this planet, to connect. And I think what happened a couple of years ago, which we're all very familiar with, is we got our ability to connect in person, in real life, taken away from us. COVID came out and it really forced us to rethink that if we're not going to be able to be connected in real life, how can we take it a step further on what the internet can provide? VR has been around for a really long time, but I think the idea of becoming a more immersive experience in really being with each other is super, super valuable. And I think now people are starting to understand what that future looks like. I also think with our younger generation growing up in the Roblox years, they're more adjusted to communicating and having fun with friends in these 3D immersive experiences. And I think a lot of people are starting to see what the future will look like is something that we've never seen before at the level of what a 3D experience can bring to individuals and businesses. The reason why I think people are on the sideline is where do I build? Where do I actually create my experience if I actually want to create not just a branding tool or a marketing tool, but actually a company in the metaverse. And I think right now with the metaverse not quite being here yet, where we have this kind of massive world where people can actually build businesses, I think we're waiting to see how that plays out and how they can participate.
Amazing. Thank you guys for joining us. I'm Jay, one of the co-founders with my partner and CTO Alexi of the OZONE Metaverse platform. And really excited about finally starting back to put the platform to work, right, and bringing us all together. And really happy for Sean and Mike to join us. They're really legends in our industry. And
Awesome. So with the talk of enterprise and business, how do you think that the metaverse will transform businesses in the near future? So immediately, and then your thoughts on the long-term evolution of business the metaverse will bring about enterprise, e-commerce, and brands.
I think we're at an interesting time when it comes to enterprise and businesses. In my interactions with a lot of companies, I think a lot of people are on the sideline waiting to better understand how they can incorporate their company in these metaverse experiences. Jay, I agree with you, and obviously Michael, that I think a lot of people are looking to do branding, in the metaverse as a jump start. So I'll give you an example, obviously with Nike going into Roblox, what a great idea, right? You have, 100 million plus kids that you can now brand your Nike swoosh and make something super fun. If you think about advertising, you may get 1 or 2 views of some type of advertising, but kids spending hours in your experience allows you to get that branding that is something that we've never seen before at the level of what a 3D experience can bring to individuals and businesses. The reason why I think people are on the sideline is where do I build? Where do I actually create my experience if I actually want to create not just a branding tool or a marketing tool, but actually a company in the metaverse. And I think right now with the metaverse not quite being here yet, where we have this kind of massive world where people can actually build businesses, I think we're waiting to see how that plays out and how they can participate.
What an incredible vision of the future of enterprise. Continually, we have more aspects to express ourselves through 3D objects, AR filters, and even clothes, digital fashion, like what we're all wearing today, and beyond. Purchasing of NFTs, making that more accessible for the average user, and then also the retail experiences, like where we go to experience and buy these clothes. I think is an evolving landscape that's running in tow with the metaverse. Like every space you can go into, for instance, in Ozone, you can fly. Maybe we can go into a city in the clouds and go buy a jacket, as opposed to just ordering it off of a 2D website. So with that, how about Jay?
We've already become a digital species, right? But we deal with the digital cyberspace alone behind a 2D device, right? So the way we are represented, the way our human digital presence transpires in the cyberspace, aka the internet, is, well, it's a profile image, it's the text you put out, and the video you put out. So videos have become a huge thing over the last decade, right? Why is that? Because we're better able to relate to those human beings when we see them, right, in action with a video versus just seeing a text, right, plain 2D text, or even a still image. So as we are sitting here as avatars, and I want a big shout out to Ready Player Me, you know, our avatar system, our current avatar system. They've been really doing awesome to enable, you know, this kind of experience, right? Each of us can be a different representation. So now when I'm looking at Michael, it's not only Michael, his name and his video, but this really cool guy dressed up with this swag, and so his avatar brings up his persona, right? So I feel like fashion is going to be huge in defining who we are in the future.
I love this concept, and it's definitely not where we were at. We were focused on architecture and the environments, and that was where almost all of our energy was. And we got introduced to Ready Player Me this summer from a group called The Fabricant, and they needed some help to create some avatars. And so we happened to have a couple of staff members that were able to pull that off. And we're now on our, 20th or something project where we've done avatars for Ready Player Me, whether it's a clothing line for a clothing brand, or it's something special for an individual or an artist, or it's just something that we're doing for an event. Like right now, we're doing some stuff for the Day of the Dead from Mexico City, and we're making some avatars for that actual event, which is coming up really soon. But I agree. I, as a person who actually personally likes fashion, I found it at going to Burning Man and coming up with costumes and stuff, that I found that, sometimes as a shy individual, when you go to an event, or if you go to a conference or something, sometimes that fashion can help break the sort of barrier a little bit and be an icebreaker. So I've made, colorful, interesting outfits and pants, and I'll wear them to a conference or something. And it just helps me break the ice with people.
My daughter, the 6-year-old, playing on the tablet, and how she goes nuts. She'll play hours to get some coins so she can go and buy a new avatar. In this iPad game, I mean, this is not it's kind of also part of the metaverse, I guess, the kids' metaverse, but it's amazing how much value the new generations, gamers, right, are giving to these virtual appearances, right? And I'm glad, Sean, you talked about the AR layer. I totally believe that AR is going to be huge in that sense, because, you can walk out with your pajamas, but for those who matter to you, that are in the AR fabric, if you will, you look like this super duper, like the flames, right? The shader clothing and all the animated clothing and stuff. And of course, Ozone is all web based, and we're also AR ready. We haven't turned on the AR engines just because we're waiting for the right devices. But this customization and this shopping, and I feel like, and I don't know what you think about this, Mike, right? But maybe you can speak a bit to the complexity of doing high quality 3D garments when it comes to optimization. Because, right, and we're working, by the way, just little spoiler alert here, I'll just share with everybody, we have our wearable system here at Ozone that's been in the works. So it's a full-blown custom wearable. We can come in and just imagine a bunch of digital clothing in this space, right? And you can choose them, put them on, as well as, of course, purchase them eventually. And one thing, just little surprise for Ready Player Me friends, because we love Ready Player Me, but we've been kind of slowly building a real-time kind of wearable system for Ready Player Me, where, in the browser, in the app, we can interchange and get them wear with extra clothing lines, right?
And so the whole premise of the metaverse, you need to solve a couple of things. One is, a lot of people would say you need massive amount of people in a single experience. And I think that's super exciting, and it's a very important part of scale, but that's just a very small part of the value of scale. We don't need to scale just for 5,000 or 50,000 people in a concert. Some people may say, I don't want that many people in a concert. I want there to be just me and my friends enjoying that experience. And so you have that novelty of lots of people in a single shared space. What I think the metaverse, and if you really think about the definition of the metaverse, is this massive, persistent digital world that allows anyone to build experiences where anyone can find other individuals and share that experience with. And to do that, you're going to have to rethink, how do you build? So think about this. We can only do 15 people in a space, and sometimes up to 50. It really depends on the fidelity of the avatars. And what I mean by fidelity of the avatars, the idea that you're tracking full facial expression, your fingers, your IK, which is the measurements when you move your arms, and all that spatial audio that you're sharing with. That is really, really, really hard to scale. And that's why you see the Horizons and some of the biggest companies on the planet, they're stuck in that 15 to 20 range. Now, the idea of getting to millions upon millions of people is considered 10 to 20 years away. And that's why some of the biggest futurists and technologists know that the metaverse is going to be a couple of decades before we're able to actually create, the futurization of the internet, also known as the metaverse. And what RP1 is doing is solving the technology to launch that. It's not just about streaming up lots of people in a single experience. It's how do we network everyone on this planet so that we're always connected no matter where we go.
No, 100%. I want to just echo exactly what Sean said about your comments, Mike. To me also, it's really music to our ears because we've spent thousands of hours to really understand how do we get these 3D models in the browser, on mobile, right? Since basically 2016, right? When I first called Mr. O, I was like, hey, why isn't the web like a video game, What if we make it like all 3D, and instead of having a gazillion tabs, let's bring them all in like bubbles and things, right? Just have that kind of gamification experience of the web experience. And that's how we started our journey. So Accelerate now, not only the infrastructure to deploy, and we had a fully managed solution, right, for maintenance, scaling, and all that. And we can't wait to enhance the network capability with new solutions like RP1 and so on. But the results in the compression, and Mike, the truth is, and just to say this to everybody who's working with the 3D team, please give a break to your 3D team, right? Because most people are unable to appreciate the work that it takes, right? And your engineers too, right? For sure. But here we're talking just the 3D components of things. So imagine, and this means nothing to some people, Mike. When you talk about 1 million polygons, 100 megabytes, we've gotten avatars that were 256 megabytes with like 1 million plus polygons and like all the texture counts and all that stuff. And the truth is, and that's okay, people cannot appreciate what that means, right? Right? It's just, they're not, that's what it is. It's like if a brain surgeon takes you that some, some part of the brain, right, has something. So I'm very, very glad to see some of the results we've gotten, Mike. I feel the industry has come a long way. The combination of the APIs like the WebGL, the WebGPU, the graphics card, the devices, the internet speed, but combined with our workflows, right? And I can't wait to deep dive, into the some of the stuff, right, on how we've been able. Like we just got a client. It's a movie producer, big media company. We should make an announcement soon, hopefully. But they've spent a lot of time building in Unreal, right? And they built this gorgeous world, really gorgeous, but it's gorgeous on the render in the video. And now their 3D assets are 7 gigabytes for one asset. This is a single, building. Let's just call it a building. And their world is made of like 30 of these. And one building is 7 gigabytes. And they send it to us. And we start looking at it in the lab. And it's like, okay, holy smokes. There's so much. Okay, it's a lot of work. So we got to it just as a POC for them. and I'm super proud of our team because we got it down to 60 megabytes. And the result is basically 100x lower weight, but working through the UV maps and different things, right? We get to having lower textures, but that are 2 times looking better. So we have, you know, this is the thing. So that's where the technique and the skills you were referring to. And I just want to send it loud and clear to everybody, because I'm not doing that. It's our engineering who is doing that. But really, really, we have to appreciate and help the engineers who are doing the hard work, as much on the software side, the networking side, the 3D artists as well. And I'm so proud to be part of this ecosystem.